What's up, Panther Nation? Bill Mack here with another edition of the Panther Prowl. Yes, we are in this Week 8 review, or preview, should I say, as the Carolina Panthers head into Atlanta, just down I-95, to take on the 3 and 4 Atlanta Falcons, and of course the Carolina Panthers coming off a win last week against the division rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Panthers are now 2 and 5, and this is a tale of two different teams, of course, with similar of being in the same division. The Panthers are in a flux, if you could say that. A lot going on here, with the Panthers quarterback situation, with the running back situation, where there are a lot of splits in between, even in the fan base, of what Carolina should do. The divisions, sadly, with these poor records, are within reach of the Panthers, but Panthers get too high of a record, they could end up basically being knocked out of the top two spots to get one of the top two quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. Now, looking at it, the NFC South is the weakest division, and neither team in this division out of the four has a winning record. So that means every division game played really counts. And the Panthers, of course, are 2-0 in the division. Like I said, they had winning games against the New Orleans Saints and now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This will look to be their third win if they can pull it off at the Bank of America Stadium, of course. Leading the way for the Falcons is quarterback Marcus Mariota, who was signed in the offseason. And leading the Panthers, of course, had a stellar performance last week. Did what was needed and he was called upon to do, which is protect the ball, don't turn it over, and try to score if you can. And of course, the Carolina Panthers did, defeating the lowly Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-3. And of course, the Atlanta Falcons coming up and coming off their game, they ended up playing against the they lost against the Cincinnati Bengals, which that is a tough Bengals team that looks like they're back on the rise again after stumbling very soon. Of course, pardon any noise you may hear, of course, it is what it is. But just little tidbits here. The Panthers are going to be without running back Chuba Hubbard this week, as he is having an ankle problem and was ruled out on for Sunday's game. He suffered it last week against the Buccaneers, of course. That means that the duties will fall basically on Deontay Foreman, who was signed in the offseason from the Tennessee Titans, and rookie Raheem Blackshear, which was signed off the practice squad from Buffalo Bills a few weeks back. And they're going to possibly promote Spencer Brown, who is also on the practice squad against the Falcons as well. So while it may look a little dim on the running back side, the defense will get a little bit back, as J.C. Horn, cornerbacks, both he and Dante Jackson both appear to be in better shape. Of course, Coach Wilkes said that Horn looked good in practice, and he sees no reason why he won't be able to play this week. Of course, we have defensive Marquise Haynes back to practice on Friday after missing the last two. So, and Matt Ioannidis, who missed last week's game due to concussion protocol, was a full participant on Friday, and he will basically start. He has no injury status for the game, so it'll be good to have him back and having on that defense. Of course, Frankie Louvu and both Justin Burris are questionable, but we will see what goes on here. So Panthers had actually 16 names on the report this week, but only 5 have had designation statuses. So the rest of them are basically clear here. But I'm looking forward to this game. I'm really hoping for my Panthers. We're in that rough spot between what do? Do we tank the rest of the season and try to get that top one or two quarterbacks? Which, with the win last week, we ended up going from first overall to get the first pick to third. So what do we do? And then you have the other side that are like, hey, look, we can win a division. Why not get a division? But one hand really defeats the other, with that being the case. But I do look forward to a good game today. The Panthers basically have to kind of shut down. Here's some things that the Panthers ended up needing to watch. Like I said, they've suffered through a lot of things here. But here's the things going on with the Panthers that to look for in week 8. Of course, P.J. Walker, of course, coming back. This is his second game. This gives some time for the teams to get some tape on him. He had a decent game last week. He's 3-1 overall as a starter. The good thing about that as well is that the Falcons will be without their cornerback A.J. Terrell after he had a hamstring injury last week. So it'll give at least DJ and some of our other wide receivers some chances at possibly seeing if PJ is going to go downfield. And across their secondary as well as Jalen Hawkins had a concussion and he was questionable, as well as defensive back D. Alford with hamstrings. So we're going to have to see what's going on here. But they do have a good pass rusher in Grady Jarrett, who will be there, who is leading the team with 4.5 sacks and 10 QB hits. So by PJ doing well, we're going to have to, because the run game will be without Hubbard. Hubbard is that scat back, doesn't have good hands. Deontay Foreman did look pretty good last week, rattling off over 100 yards. Of course, Hubbard is having an ankle injury, as I stated before, and we'll look to see some more out of Raheem Blackshear and how he's going to do. Of course, the Falcons do have the 5th best rushing defense, so this is going to be a challenge. If they stop the run, is PJ going to be able to hold them off in the passing game? Is he going to be able to get the ball to his playmakers and do it? Of course, Christian McCaffrey's not there. The Robbie Anderson was traded, so we'll see what goes on. But we do look at the defense here. Falcons' defense is 27th ranked overall and 31st in passing offense. But they're more of an efficient ground team. So, they're better on the ground, barely, than they are in the air. So it seems like with Cordell Patterson is still not in the game, will not play as he is recovering from a knee injury. That's good for us because the Carolina Panthers are averaging, or the Falcons are pretty much averaging 156 yards rushing, which is 4th best in the league. So we're going to shut the rushing game down. Of course, since Patterson's been out, Tyler Algier has been picking up most of the running and rushing since Cordell has been out. The Panthers, however, are kicking that 21st ranked rushing offense, and that's been a problem. But they did hold the Bucs to 46 yards rushing last week, and of course, having Matt Ioannidis back to go along with Derek Front, that's going to be a good thing for the Panthers to have. So, looking forward to that. These injuries coming back, and with J.C. Horn from his rehab injury, that's a good thing for us. It had guys like Keith Taylor and Tay Hayes trying to step up, try to be there since Horn wasn't able to go. We had a little issue with Dante, but it looks like he's going to be ready, along, like I said, with Justin Burrows. And, of course, Jeremy Chin is still on IR. He's got, I think 2 more weeks to go, and we're going to have to see how that goes with him. But, of course, the Bucs, lost on Monday Night Football Thursday night, and of course that means then the game between the Panthers and Atlanta means whoever wins gets the top spot in the division. Like I said, 2 of their games, they're 2-0 against the division. That's what counts, not necessarily overall. They've got to win the division if that's what they want to do. So we'll see what this week happens and what going out. I look forward to the game here. It's a clash of 2 NFC South teams, the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I will definitely come with the second half after the game. But this is Bill Mack with the Week 8 preview. This is the Panthers Proud. Thank you for joining me. Like as always, like, share, and subscribe to the video. Drop comments, opinions, thoughts in the comment box. Follow my socials that are above. And I appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be right back to you after the conclusion of the game between the Carolina Panthers visiting the Atlanta Falcons in the Week 8 matchup. So, once again, Bill Mack saying put it on pause up, and we'll be right back. What's up, Panther Nation? Bill Mack coming back with you on the second part of the video. This is the review section of the video where I give you my thoughts and the results of the game. My opinions here. This was a nail biter here. This game came down to overtime. A back and forth shootout, you could say, in the second half, a tale of two different halves where you had the Panthers defense as well as the Atlanta Falcons defense pretty much play consistently stingy in the first half, as we only had a 14-10 score. So I'm running you a little tidbits by here, notes from the game. Like I said, at halftime, summing up to halftime, the Panthers were down 14-10. Atlanta was leading. Like I said, both defenses looked pretty good. They were running the ball. Panthers had 104 rushing yards, which 73 of those rushing yards were by Dante Foreman at half. The Falcons, of course, did get a pick six near the end of the half to get the other touchdown that they scored, which gave the Falcons the lead going into. Panthers were on the verge of driving down, but the linebacker from Atlanta, Lorenzo Carter, made an athletic play off of a screen, intended screen pass, and took it back for 28 yards. And like I said, it was a pick six, of course. The highlights of it was Damian Bird did get a 75-yard touchdown reception in the first half, as well as Deontay Foreman did get 19 yards on the and a touchdown on the drive. The Panthers got theirs on. Of course, leading at the beginning of at halftime, Frankie Louisville, of course, had a sack. Yetur Gross-Matos and Derek Brown both had half a sack each. Dante Jackson had an interception, and on the other side, Grady Jarrett, of course, led the way with for the Atlanta Falcons with 3 tackles. All of those were tackles for loss. What do we see going into the second half? Well, what did the Panthers do that they hadn't been doing? Of course, keep consistency. Of course, try to hold on to the ball. Try not to make as many turnovers. Try to score some points, because it was 14-10 going into halftime. Offenses really weren't doing too much there. So what the Panthers ended up doing, kind of what it started off with the first part of the second half, throwing a lot of screens, and more screens. They were throwing screens. It was McAdoo's ideal to throw screens. PJ does have the arm. He does have the arm strength. So what was our mantra of the second half? Run, Foreman, run. Of course, Atlanta rushing. Now, it got to a point where they had alternated 10 scores back and forth, 5 on each side, from where they're going back and forth like a seesaw, like a ping pong ball, like tennis, going back and forth. It seemed like there was an offensive explosion in the second half compared to the defensive impact that was going on in the first half. Mighty big change. So both Atlanta and Carolina had scored 3 of the first 4 possessions in the second half. Of course, the game got really dramatic near the end. It looked like Atlanta was going to win it. P.J. Walker goes back, throws a Hail Mary pass, 62 yards. DJ Moore just happens to make a spectacular catch in the end zone. Ties the Panthers up, needing an extra point. Would have been the victory, but in this celebration portion of it, DJ Moore takes his helmet off, celebrates, and what does that do? That causes a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct. Well, they end up getting it on the extra point. So what does that do? That puts Pinheiro back 48 yards to attempt a 48-yard extra point. What happens? Pinheiro misses. The score stays tied 34-34, and it heads to overtime. So we go back and forth. Here we go again. Pinheiro again lines up. Easy chip shot field goal. What does he do? Misses it as well. He's really gave a heart attack to Panther fans today. He was doing so well up into this game, and when the crucial time from getting an extra point and getting the game-winning field goal, and he fails on both of them. So I know the coaches will have a little talk with him, especially the special teams coaches on that. So what happens? The Atlanta takes the ball, goes down, and of course, when they got an interception, the Panthers did, Pinheiro misses the field goal. So now, since both teams have had a possession, whatever the next score is, it doesn't have to be a touchdown. Whoever gets the next score wins. And what happens? The Atlanta Falcons kicker goes down, Young Hoku, and gets a field goal. and it wins the game with with a few minutes left, sparing in the final in the overtime. Very sad, very heartbreaking loss. This was an important game because this was for the first place in the South, in the NFC South. Both teams, whoever had it, had a chance to win. Now, scoring is beyond me how they figured Atlanta was time when Atlanta's 0-2 in the division. Now 1-2, and the Panthers are 2-1. So beyond me how that works, but that's what they were saying. So Panthers end up losing the game, as you see here, with a score of 37-34 to final in overtime. And so just a terrible. Let's get to the stats here. Breakdown of the stats here in the game. As we see, it drops the Panthers, of course, to that 4-6 or 2-6 record. They're 0-3 on the road. It brings Atlanta Falcons back to 4-4 even. Panthers did score. I mean, I can't blame for not scoring, but inopportune times to where DJ Moore, he had missed earlier. There was a ball that was a little deflected a little bit. I feel like he should have come down with it. He missed it, and then the touchdown at the end of the quarter, which gave every Panther fan a hope, like it's in the bag, just get the field goal, and DJ takes his helmet off. Don't see that too much, not when it comes to a crucial extra point like this, because it's not your 21 point. Don't forget you have to get that 15-yard sportsmanlike conduct by him taking his helmet off. So what were PJ's stats? How did the defense do? How did that offensive line hold up? Well, PJ, of course, 19 of 36. He ended up throwing for 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Was only sacked 1 time with an 80.4 rating, which is pretty good. Quarterback-wise for him, 80.4, only sacked once, which means that offensive line held up again for another straight week. So shout out to the offensive line for keeping the Falcon defensive line from putting pressure to sack him. 1 sack given up. Deontay Foreman, of course, was the man, was the MVP for us this week. 26 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns today. Spencer Brown, of course, called off the squad. Practice squad came in, 6 carries, 27 yards. And, of course, we had a few more scampers here for a total of 169 rushing yards by the Panthers. Now, as we scroll down and look at receiving, what happened receiving? DJ Moore. DJ Moore had an awesome game today. 6 catches, 152 yards. Big game for DJ to come back on. Of averaging 25 yards, and he got 1 touchdown. The longest, of course, was that long bomb at the end, where it was a 62-yarder at the end of the game. He had 11 targets, caught 6 of them. Of course, who made a surprise appearance today? Well, guess who it was? It was Terrace Marshall Jr. Can you believe it? 4 catches, 87 yards from the disappearing, reappearing abracadabra receiver to coming in today. 87 catches. Can you believe it? I mean, Pooh Fairy was on the field making catches. Who would have thought that would happen? 87 yards. He was second behind the tight end. Steven Sullivan caught a pass for 33. And, of course, Laviska Chenault had 5 catches for 26 yards. And Tommy Trumbull, of course, surprise, surprise, the tight end, 2 catches for 17 yards. So, 317 total yards. And only 1 touchdown really passing to show for it. But, of course, this was the Deontay Foreman show. No problems there with that. Let's look down here at our defense-wise. Shaq Thompson had the most tackles today, 13. 8 of those solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Derek Brown showed up yet again. Man had some monster plays, playing well yet again for the second straight week. The man's coming into his own, which is what we were all hoping he would do by now. Carry on 12 tackles, 5 solo, half a sack, 1 tackle for loss. Bringing Yetur Gross-Matos, so taking in 6 tackles, a half a sack as well. And Frankie Louvu, 5 total tackles. 4 of those were solo. He did get a sack and 2 tackles for loss. So the man is still being the man, which is Mr. Louvu. So awesome job for him. J.C. Horn, not a lot showing up in the plate, but they just had to keep the ball off. They just had to keep the ball away, and they weren't really doing too much on the of the passing game when it comes to. You look at Mariota's stats. Now, for preface this, Mariota's stats are very deceiving. I can't seem to find what the yards after catch. This wasn't him. All these passing yards that he got. So let's bring it down here. Of course, C.J. Henderson, he does 15 things wrong. He actually does one thing right, and he did get an interception, as well as on the opposite field to him, Dante Jackson, who looked hurt initially, we thought, but was able to come back in, finish the game. He got an interception as well. Punts, Shi Smith, of course, fielded 4 of those, averaging only 11. Pinero, 2 or 3 field goals, 2 or 3 extra points for a total of 8 points. Those 2 misses on both sides, the field goal and the extra point, are what really hurt. We really lost this game on his foot today. Now, mind you, there are other things going on, but I'm just going to blame it on him because of some fact. One is DJ shouldn't have did the unsportsmanlike. Pinero could not hit a 48-yard extra point. Okay, so there we go. But then overtime, it's a chip shot off the right hash mark, and he hooks it. And they end up missing yet again. So how the kicker really crumbles here when it's in time of need. Any other chip shot, he probably would have made. But when the game on the line, first place on the line, Eddie Pinero really fails us. So sad to see that. Now let's jump over to the opponent's side, the Atlanta Falcons. Marcus Mariota sucks. 253 yards. It's not really that many yards, folks. Don't let that deceive you. 20 of 28, 253 yards, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions. Was sacked twice, had a 105 rating today. But don't let those 253 yards fool you. He was just like PJ, except a little less because all Mariota was just dunking and diving. And you were having these guys make good running plays. A lot of yards after the catch is what they had leading into this. Rushing side, the Panthers gave up 150 yards plus to them. Caleb Huntley. Who is Caleb Huntley? I don't know. Cordell Patterson wasn't in the game, but they didn't need Cordell Patterson, apparently. Caleb Huntley came in, fielded in nicely for Patterson, had 16 carries, 91 yards. Marcus Mariota, of course, scampered. He's a little scampering quarterback. 14. He carried 6 times for 43 yards. And Tyler Algier, he was in that platoon with Caleb Huntley. And running the ball, he had 14 carries, 39 yards. So, total of 167 rushing yards. So, still, the rushing game was really a problem in stopping the run after we had been so successful the first 2 weeks. But Huntley is a bruiser back. The dude was getting through. The dude has pretty decent speed and power on top of that. So, they just couldn't stop him. Receiving-wise, top receiver today, surprise, tight end, Kyle Pitts. 5 receptions, 80 yards, a touchdown. Former Carolina Panther who was drafted here, played his first 3 years here. Damiere Byrd burnt them today twice. 3 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. And once again, Tyler Algier had 3 catches, 46 yards with the touchdown as well. So they were pretty much making the best of what they had, but it was a lot of running after the catch, at least in my opinion. Fumbles wise, we did have Caleb Huntley, did fumble the ball, but another Atlanta player fell on it, so they didn't lose that. Let's look at defense on the Falcon side. How do they do? We see not too bad, but only got 1 sack. That sack come from Rashad Evans, who had 9 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 sack, and that sack was tackle for loss. Of course, I mentioned Grady Jarrett had 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and Michael Walker, 4 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 tackle for loss. So, not too bad. They didn't do a whole lot. The hero for them on defense was Lorenzo Carter, who took a 28-yard pick 6 back, like I said, against P.J. Walker near on the last drive going into halftime. He gave up that pick 6. Of course, Avery Williams kicked return from them. He had 74 yards. We see Young-Ho Koo, the kicker for Atlanta, 3 for 3 field goals and 4 for 4 extra points. 13 total points for him. He knowed how to get it done. So Heartbreaking loss. It was a lot going on, a lot of feelings, a lot of letdown here in the last few emotional ride with this. This really hurts us in trying to get the division, but it does help us with the draft. So as I stated earlier in the video, the first part one, that you're torn between what do you want? Do you want to draft a high draft pick? Do you want to win a division? It's a split there, but it really does hurt. It does help with the draft. Does hurt with the division, but it's still wide open. All teams still suck. That's not a doubt. This is a terrible year since 2017, I think, was when they didn't win the division. When they won the division with a bad record. I think it was 2017 or 2016. Well, not quite 100% sure on that. But either way, this looks to be an ugly year in the division of the NFC South. We're going to probably be the laughingstock this year. Usually it's the NFC North, but this year it's going to be pretty bad. So we'll see what happens. Or was that NFC East? Might be the NFC East. I don't want to say NFC North. I think it's the NFC East. But either way, Panther Nation, such a terrible, terrible, terrible game here. Let's look here at the matchup points real quick. Of course, the Panthers had more first downs, 23-21. Rushing first downs, 10-7. Penalties from first downs, Panthers did get one. Here's third down efficiency. Now remember, the last week they actually did decent, but did they come back this week? No, they didn't. Of course, they were 5 of 13. Of course, the Falcons were 50% or 500 with 6 of 12. The total plays, Panthers ran more. Panthers had more yards, 478 total yards compared to 406. Same amount of drives, more yards per play, more passing yards. And still, sacks, less sacks, more rushing yards. Red zone opportunities, the Panthers actually outscored more. They were efficient. 3 of 5. What more can you ask for in red zone offense, getting 3 of 5, which the Falcons were only 1 of 3. Penalties, of course, killed the Panthers. There were some penalties that should have been called that weren't called, and there's some that were called that really didn't need to be called. That was a tough, and I'm not going to blame it all on the referees. But 9 of 74, 9 penalties for 74 penalty yards. Of course, the Falcons had 7 for 64. One turnover, Panthers only turnover. You figure one turnover, you got more yards, you got more plays, you got more rushing yards, you got more passing yards, and you still lose the game. A missed field goal in overtime to win it. A missed extra point that would have won it in regulation. A stupid penalty by DJ Moore, who was the hero for catching a touchdown, and become the villain for making the unsportsmanlike conduct. If he'd have just kept his helmet on. Time possession, it's only 5 minutes off. Panthers, and that's what happens. The defense played better and more stout when there was good, long, substantial runs, which is what I said. When they do these drives, it keeps your defense off the field. It keeps them refreshed. And they were ball hawks all day long. But in the end, it comes down to a missed field goal. Is how the game loses. So, Panther Nation, just such disgust here. Really, really just depressed. Such a sad thing to see. But, I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. But, we're going to have these same Falcons in a couple weeks when they come to Bank of America Stadium. Not this upcoming week, but the next week. So 2 times in 3 weeks is what we're going to have them. So maybe we can start some revenge. But I will say the run game looks great. Wilkes has said we want to ground it. He said the initiative what he wanted them to do to begin with. We want to run the ball. That's what they did. They compiled yards. Foreman was awesome today. Foreman was really good today. Grounded and pounded, 3 touchdowns. And I had him on my fantasy, and my dumb self went ahead and took him out last second and switched him for somebody else. So stupid on me. Anyway, Panther Nation, glad you, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. Join, share, give me a thumbs up. Any comments, opinions, anything, drop it in the discussion box below. Also, as well, follow my social medias, which are above my icon here. Glad you folks could join for another video. Hope to get this one out as soon as possible. So, Panther Nation, let's just wipe our tears, take the rest of the day. Cry about it a little bit if you got to. You know, you don't have to tell nobody. But if not, then we'll bounce back. We'll come back as always, Panther Nation. So glad you could join me. And we'll wait until the next time and next video again. And whoever the Panthers play up next, we shall definitely look forward to it. You know, I'm really looking forward to the Panthers doing well here. Of course, the Panthers will. Oh no, the Panthers are going to be taking on the Bengals at Cincinnati next week. So that's going to be, don't use all your tissue this week. We're going to need a ton of it next week. So anyway, Panther Nation, get your blood pressure medicine ready. We're going to need it. Playing Joe Burrow in Cincinnati next week. So without further ado, thanks, Panther Nation. Once again, this is Bill Mack with the Panther Prowl saying, keep pounding.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if